For this Halloween special, we are going to look at any unresolved past energies, ghosts if you will, that are still with you, influencing your life. By the end of this reading, you will know what these lingering energies are trying to tell you and how you can finally get rid of them. There are 4 spooky decks representing the piles in today's reading. For pile number 1, we have the Beautiful Creatures Tarot. For pile number 2, we have the Everyday Witch Tarot. For pile number 3, we have the Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot. And for pile number 4, we have the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. Now, to choose the right reading for you, make sure to tune out any distractions, calm your breathing, and feel into your body as you are looking at these different piles. And just feel any sensations that come up as you are looking at these piles. Always use your intuition, but also don't forget to use your discernment as you are watching this general reading. When you are ready, you can go into the description box and click on the timestamp that you need. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to your reading pile number 1. So you chose the Beautiful Creatures Tarot, which we are going to be looking at in just a second, because we are first going to start off with some pre-prepared oracle cards. And these oracle cards are going to tell us all about what sort of unresolved past energy is still around you. So essentially, we are looking at how you are being haunted by the past. So when you hear these messages, it will be a lot easier for you to understand whether you are watching the right pile or not. So let's see. We have the subconscious, community, enchanter with self-evaluation, awakening and purpose, exposed, and community. Okay, wow. Okay, so pile number 1, I am definitely getting a fairly specific story here. Now, I want to start off with these 2 cards because, I mean, honestly, I didn't even know that these 2 decks had cards that that had the same kind of keyword on it. So we have 2 cards of community coming through. And so clearly, the sort of people and groups and networks that you have been a part of, or the people that have been surrounding you in your life, have played a very, very big part on how you have grown as a person and the kind of person that you are today. And obviously, because there is such a heavy emphasis on other people, the people surrounding you in this reading, it is clear that it is their influence, the external influence, that is sort of playing the biggest role in whatever this haunting is that you are experiencing. And now I do feel like saying that there was possibly a lot of programming or almost like pressuring of how you should live your life or what you should do, because we have the subconscious energy here. And maybe not even about like what you are supposed to be doing and all of that kind of thing. I feel like it may even come down to how you see yourself, your personal identity, and the role that you believe that you have to play in this life, or that you are assigned, the role that you have taken upon yourself to enact in this lifetime. I feel like that is also the result of some of the subconscious beliefs that you have attained because of the people around you. There has been heavy influencing and conditioning that I feel that is here, that is very much still ruling how you perceive yourself in the world and how you decide to express yourself. I kind of want to skip to this exposed card here, because this is making me think that you may have felt under a lot of scrutiny, or like there were a lot of eyes on you, or a lot of expectations that were placed upon you. Maybe when you were younger, but maybe even still, you know, however old you are right now, I feel like there could still be this like little voice in the back of your head telling you that you need to make your family proud, or you need to make your parents proud, or you need to live up to some sort of legacy, or something like that, that you have to leave a legacy, or yeah, like there is this heavy responsibility on your shoulders to be a certain way or live your life a certain way and be perceived by others in a certain way. And so with both of these cards together, I feel like with the self-evaluation, awakening, and purpose, and with this exposed card, it's almost like the true you, like the actual authentic traits that are within you are somewhat like that you were possibly too afraid to actually reveal how you truly feel on the inside, or what you truly think about things, or what truly interests you. Or, you know, even if like we're talking about showing off your quirks and just showing up as yourself, and all of the uniqueness that entails, I feel like with this exposed card, there is something about either people making you feel bad about it, or you feeling ridiculed because of it, or like it was unsafe to be who you truly are on the inside, or like, yeah, like there is some sort of inhibition within yourself to show up as the real you in some way. I'm not saying that that's like entirely the case, but I feel like to some extent the way that other people see you and the public sort of perception of you is still very much a factor when it comes to how much of yourself you are willing to reveal to other people. Because for some reason, I feel like with this self-evaluation and awakening, like these two keywords are making me think that there has been some sort of process or transformation which has resulted in you realizing that the truth is that the inner truth within yourself is somewhat different to the you that you are showing everyone else. And I'm not saying that you are wearing a mask, or that you are lying, or that you are deceiving anyone. I just feel like there is very heavy control over how you show up in the world and what sort of sides of yourself you allow other people to see. And I feel like the sides that other people do see are very like refined, and again, very controlled, very well managed. But I feel like you sort of realize that there is something deeper, that there is something else within you that you haven't been willing to share, because again, there is this fear of not being accepted for that, or even again, because we have this purpose card here too, that there is clearly something that you feel called to do, or someone that you feel that you are meant to be, but there is this hesitation about actually stepping into that life or making that your life. And so, yeah, I feel like this voice is like in your head, controlling things, and it seems to be a very powerful voice. So whatever this community influence is, again, whether this is, you know, your family, your parents, your siblings, maybe there was some sibling rivalry, stuff like that, whether it is your friend group or the people that you know, and maybe everyone is like in a certain way, or have a certain education and show up in a certain manner, right? Maybe it is your work environment, your colleagues, maybe it is even in your relationship, right? Maybe you have very high expectations placed on you by your partner. You know, even if it's not necessarily like enforced by them, it could be something that you, again, just subconsciously believe that you have to do, or the role that you feel like you have to take on for them, or to make them happy, or to provide them with the life that they want. Like all of these types of things are sort of popping into my head right now. So I'm just giving you examples. I'm not saying that all of these things have to be true for you, but yeah, it feels like there is heavy influence from other people, and that is the main thing that is sort of still haunting you, and that has been a very big influence on you for a long time. But if you could resonate with this pile number one, then make sure to keep on watching, because we're going to tap into the tarot messages next, and we're going to look at what these past ghosts are trying to tell you and how you can resolve this lingering energy and finally move on. So pile number one, we are getting some major arcana cards, and clearly this is a very significant theme, but I'm going to start off first with the first card that came out. We have the Five of Swords that came out in reverse, but I'm going to show it to you upright so you could see what is actually going on in this illustration. So the Five of Swords, as the keyword says as well, is a card of conflict and defeat, and there can very often be these very negative and draining energies that we experience as we go through a Five of Swords type of situation. Now, when the Five of Swords comes out in reverse, it is almost saying that the whole conflict has already passed. There is no tension in the air anymore, but for some reason it's like you are still acting as if it is, or as though it is. And I feel like what these ghosts are trying to tell you is that it is safe to come out of this place where you feel like you have to lay low, or where you feel like you have to repress yourself or make yourself small, because honestly, even though possibly you were rejected, possibly you were ridiculed when you wanted to share your voice, or where you wanted to show off your true unique self in some manner, or maybe it wasn't a good reaction that you got when you played around with sharing what is truly on your mind, or what you truly would like to do, or if there was ever a point where you sort of like exposed yourself in that way, right? Maybe it was very ill received, and maybe you still have these very painful associations and these very painful memories associated with the whole thing. And so you just decided to sort of push that part of you down, to quiet that voice, and to just do what you were supposed to do, or fill the roles that you are meant to fill. But we also have the Hermit card here. And so this is a card of Virgo, by the way, and I'm pointing out the zodiacal signs in case they mean something to you. So this is introspection, and the Hermit is very much an energy of introspection and going within and isolating yourself from any external energies or influences. And I feel like what these ghosts are trying to tell you is that it is time to do exactly that. It is time to connect with this deeper voice within you, this very powerful wisdom that you have within yourself, and it is going to be like a guiding light for you, but you kind of have to get in touch with it first so that you could follow it, so that it could guide you. And I also feel like, as I said, there is a level of wisdom and experience and maturity with the Hermit as well, that all of these experiences, as painful as they have been, they have grown you, they have developed you, they have prepared you for the future, right? You are not the same person that you were when you experienced this backlash or conflict or tension or ridicule or whatever it was, right? Whatever this negative reaction was that left you feeling like you had to conform in some way. The Hermit is saying that you are not the same person anymore. You have changed, you have grown, and you can now rely on all of this wisdom that you have gained, and you are so much more well prepared to actually handle any sort of backlash or any sort of confusion that people may have about this new role that you want to take on, or new role for them. For you, it's just an authentic role, a more authentic role. And again, I feel like they are just urging you to dare to get in contact with that place within yourself. We also have the Justice card that came out in reverse, and this is a card of Libra. And so what this is mainly indicating is that there has been a massive imbalance And that massive imbalance has possibly led to some undesirable results as well, right? This says equality, and clearly equality hasn't really been here because you have been sacrificing yourself, sacrificing your own truth, your own happiness, your own fulfillment, possibly even your own peace of mind. Maybe you have been compromising too much, right? For the sake of someone else or for the sake of something else. But this is calling you to really evaluate where things have been out of balance. And I feel like because we have been talking about, again, your self-expression and really saying how you truly feel, right? Because justice is also about truth. Justice is also about standing up for what you believe in, for what you believe to be right, and doing the right thing. And I feel like what these ghosts are really wanting you to focus on is how you haven't been doing the right thing for yourself and how you possibly haven't been honoring yourself. And I know that these are some very heavy-hitting words, but I feel like they are sort of coming out for a reason and they demand to be heard. Just like this inner voice within you, like this true path that your soul yearns to go down is demanding attention as well. It's screaming for it, I feel like. So how you can actually deal with this whole situation, get these unresolved energies that are lingering around, how you can deal with them and move on. So we have the Six of Pentacles, which says generosity on it. But essentially, this is a card of sharing. And so I feel like that is the biggest keyword here, is actually daring to share yourself, to share what is truly within you. And I feel like as soon as you do, there is also going to be this recognition that, first of all, you were possibly imagining way worse reactions than it is actually going to happen, right? It may take people some time to adjust, but essentially I feel like things are going to actually be okay and things are going to like balance out eventually. Also, sharing yourself as you truly are is what is going to attract more of the people that truly, value you for those traits, rather than, you trying to fit in somewhere that maybe isn't even your tribe. Maybe it isn't even the community that you are supposed to be part of. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that, you are in the wrong place or among the wrong people or something like that. Only you know what is actually right for you. But, possibly there are some people out there that you just haven't met yet and that don't know anything about you, because of the way that you are repressing some of these deeper, more aligned energies within you that are yearning to come out. We also have the Hierophant, right? This is a card of Taurus. And the Hierophant, as it says, is a card of morals and values and beliefs. And so clearly, especially with the sharing card here too, right? With the Six of Pentacles, there is a need to be more vocal about what it is that you truly feel, what it is that you truly value, and really stand firm in that, really believe in that, right? Like have faith in the feelings that you are feeling and the urges that you have on the inside, because again, they are there for a reason, right? We all have a certain path that we are following as we are going through this experience as human beings, and it is different for all of us, and it's different for a reason, because, obviously what point would there be if two people were supposed to be doing exactly the same thing? Like nothing new would be created then, or, it wouldn't make any sense. And so you are here for a reason, and you are the way that you are for a reason. And I feel like it's just about really connecting with like what truly matters to you, and starting to align yourself more with that, starting to really express them, right, with the Six of Pentacles. And finally, we have the Nine of Wands coming out, which says stamina. And this is all about, just holding firm and hanging in there, even if you feel like things are tough. And this is kind of, suggesting in a somewhat subtle way that it may be trying, it may be difficult. And I'm not saying that it's going to be a walk in the park and a very easy process to start coming out of your shell, but it is doable. And I feel like it is going to get easier as time goes on, right? Because the 9 of Wands is leading up to the 10 of Wands, which is the culmination where you finally can put down the burdens and you can finally sort of see everything that you have achieved. But it does require for you to hold on, to have faith, right? I mean, look, this card, this whole depiction is about holding on to faith, holding on to, you know, things getting easier, right? The sky is clearing up. This is all about things getting easier. So you can actually do it. But, you know, it is most likely going to be something that really tests you and something that really pushes you. And yeah, you may experience, again, as I said, some backlash or just, you know, people being somewhat shocked or not really understanding what it is that you are doing or why you are doing these things. Some people may even, you know, like kind of condemn you for it or tell you that you are making a mistake or something like that, right? But I feel like, again, if you have these morals, if you have some deeper beliefs and value systems that you can rely on, that you can constantly tune into when you are challenged, then you are going to be okay. So yeah, wow, pile number 1. This was something. But I want to close the reading out with some supportive messages. These are the Rainbow Brainskull Oracle cards, keeping with the theme, obviously. And we're going to get some supportive messages from Spirit regarding this reading. So let's see. Ooh. Okay, wow. This says, take break from small hell you've designed for yourself. Now, this may be somewhat difficult to stomach because it almost feels like Spirit is calling you out, right? Like that you have created for yourself. And even though, I mean, obviously this is not your fault or this is not your doing, that these things are still sort of having an influence on you, but at the same time, I feel like it is important to take accountability and to realize that a part of you has allowed these energies to continue, right? So it's always like a twofold thing. There's always, you know, more elements to it. And so, yeah, I feel like this message is actually, like, it is somewhat calling you out, and I do sort of empathize if it's difficult to stomach. But also the main key point here is, you know, distancing yourself from that, right? Taking a break from it. Let's see if we can get one more. Ooh, I love it. At the bottom of the deck, we have connection is the only game, right? Like truly connecting to what feels like nourishing to you, what feels that like it lights you up, what makes you feel enthusiastic about life. Like connecting to those types of things is really the only game that matters in this life. But let's see if we can get one more message for pile number 1. Can we get one more supportive message for pile number 1, please? No, you got 2. Okay. Oh, I love it. It says, relax, it's still just the loading screen. So this is basically just giving you encouragement that, you know, it's not too late to set things right and to make substantial changes in your life, or to even like completely choose a different course or a completely different direction if that's something that you feel called to do. So you still have time, right? This is not like, it's not like you have wasted your life, you have wasted your potential, none of that. And we also have, just because they put a square on your head doesn't mean you're not still in school. Yeah, so even though you may have gone through serious experiences and milestones, and you have grown and you have developed and all of that, right? You are still continuously learning. You are always growing and developing further. And so, yeah, that part really never stops. And At the bottom of the deck, we have never leave it blank. Make something stupid, throw in vault. Yeah, so again, this is encouraging you to just try to experiment, to make silly things, or to you know, even if you sort of subjectively screw up in something, then you can always just chuck it up as, you know, experience, as a life lesson, and move on from that. So, you know, just doing something, experimenting, seeing what comes out of things, right? Just daring to try things and be wrong, but also realizing that it usually leads to some really, really cool accomplishments as well. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here, pile number 1. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me. I hope that this reading was useful, insightful, or at the very least entertaining to watch. And as always, I hope to see you back on this channel very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to your reading pile number 2. So you chose the Everyday Witch Tarot, which we are going to look at in just a bit, because first we're going to turn our focus on some pre-prepared oracle cards, which are going to tell us all about how you are being haunted in your life. Essentially, we are looking at the unresolved energies that are lingering around you from the past, and as you are hearing these descriptions, hopefully it will be very easy for you to understand whether you are watching the right pile or not. So let's see. We have trickery, mischief, love that. We have shadow with wholeness, integration, and repressed emotions, gifts, and praying mantis. Okay, pile number 2, let's get straight into it, because this feels somewhat deep. And I mean, we are dealing with some deep stuff anyway. This reading is all about deep, but I'm kind of getting the sense here that you, pile 2, are someone who uses comedy, making jokes, you know, sort of keeping the atmosphere light as a protective mechanism, and it's most likely not at all what is truly going on within you. So I want to start off with the first cards that you got. There is trickery and mischief. So these two cards are somewhat similar in energy, I feel like, because basically what they are saying is that, you know, there is this like cheekiness, especially with mischief, right? This is about, you know, possibly doing what you are not supposed to be doing, or breaking the rules a little bit, being a bit of a rebel. But it's also, you know, for the sake of, you know, having fun, doing things in good fun. I don't feel like you are doing anything that is necessarily like unlawful or illegal or something like that. I don't feel like you were pushing boundaries to that extent, but I feel like ever since you were, you know, a child or a teenager, ever since you were in school, or you just, you know, were among your peers, I feel like you have taken upon this role that you are sort of the one who has to come up with these ways of doing something fun, doing something crazy, doing something out of the ordinary. Actually, I'm going to come back to this trickery card in a second. We also kind of get this same energy with this praying mantis, which is a card of like wit and manipulation. So, you know, there is this element of like fun too, right? So it's all about creating these fun situations for yourself and others, and so that it would be easier to go through life and to just, you know, not take things too seriously. But also with the element of manipulation, right? It's almost like you are wanting to distort the way that people see you and think about you, and possibly, you know, not really show what is truly happening on the inside. Now, with the gifts card, I kind of had to think about that for a bit, but I do feel like this is your way of, like, you know, again, keeping everything light or making people happy. It almost feels like this is what you feel that you need to do, or it's almost like this is how you show appreciation to people, or how you show people that you care about them, is like almost taking on their stuff for yourself as well, especially possibly emotionally. And it's almost like you feel that it is your responsibility to keep people happy, to keep people in a good mood, and to like resolve the energy in a room or in a situation when it gets a bit too tense, or when it gets a bit too, tricky. Now, the reason why I feel like it is not necessarily what is happening within you is because, I mean, we had this card of manipulation as well, so that sort of touched upon it. But we have this wholeness, integration, and repressed emotions. And again, we have this trickery card. And so I feel like it is a way for you, and I'm not like, I'm not calling you out. I'm not saying that you are doing anything wrong, but it just feels like you are doing things in a way that are not necessarily reflective of what you are truly feeling on the inside, right? Especially with the shadow card and the repressed emotions bit, like that seems to be screaming at me the loudest, that it's like you are trying to, incorporate all of this lightheartedness and this fun aspect of you, but it almost feels like it is somewhat difficult at times, because the emotions that you truly feel are so contrasting, or they are so sort of heavy and deep in comparison, and it's so it may be a bit difficult for you to synchronize these two things or integrate these two aspects of yourself. And again, like, even though it is in some way a form of trickery, it is not something that you are doing intentionally, or it's not like you are wanting to trick people in any way. It just feels like it is so difficult for you to actually bring these two very like disparate aspects of yourself together. It's almost like you are ashamed or like you are afraid of this aspect of you, which is more heavy. And it's like you don't want to show it to people because you feel like it is too much for them, or that it is, overbearing, or that it's going to be a burden for other people. So you just sort of try and deal with all of your problems and all of your fears and all of your anxieties and your stresses and insecurities and all of these things that you are sort of battling with. You're trying to deal with all of those things by yourself, and sort of just keep on this like happy-go-lucky or brave face, like you always have the solution, and you can always turn everything into like a funny situation or something like that. I don't know why, but I keep thinking of like Matthew Perry for some reason, and I know it's super random, but I don't know why, but that's the thing that seems to be coming up. It's almost like this class clown, or these comedians that like make everyone laugh, and that they are the entertainers of the world, but then on the inside they are the most lonely and sad and depressed people. And again, I'm trying to sort of convey this message. And at the same time, like, I'm not saying that you have to be sad and depressed and all of these things, but it just feels like there is some sort of like dichotomy, or like there is something within you that is almost like some pain or something that is wanting to be felt, but then it almost feels like this compulsion that you have from the past to like hide that away, and to just focus on like the shiny bits, the glittery bits, and the glamorous bits. Like everything is fine and everything is under control and everything is just perfect and dandy and like that type of vibe. So I don't know if you can resonate with this pile too, honestly, but that's what came through. And if you could, then make sure to keep on watching, because we're going to look at some tarot cards next, and specifically answering the questions: what are the ghosts that are still with you trying to tell you, and how you can resolve this lingering energy and move on. Okay, pile number 2. So let's get into the first question, and the cards that you got for that are all Major Arcana cards. So clearly this is a bigger spiritual lesson for you. But let's start from the beginning. We have the Hierophant coming out first, and I'm just pointing out the zodiacal signs in case you resonate with them. So this is a card of Taurus, and essentially what the ghosts are trying to tell you here is that it's very important to pay attention to the sort of beliefs and the values that you hold on to and that you act from in your everyday, day-to-day life. And for some weird reason, as I was looking at this card, I got the sort of the feeling that it's not like you are one of these two students that is sitting in front of this guru or teacher or mentor. I feel like you are the teacher in this card. And so I almost feel like one of the messages that is coming through here is that, you know, you have more influence than you actually realize on other people. And it's possibly also one of the reasons why you have taken on this role of, like, you know, keeping up everyone's spirits or just finding a way to turn every annoying or stressful situation into a funny episode, is because people really respond to you and they react to how you express yourself. And it seems to be something that is very alluring. With this gifts card especially, it just seems like you almost like draw people in and you are very magnetizing to them. And so it's almost like one of the more obvious key messages here is obviously, you know, listening to what your own inner compass is saying, or the true values, morals, and beliefs that you hold, that you are acting from, but also to realize that your words have a lot of value and a lot of impact. And so, you know, I feel like that is one of the reasons why you have taken this role upon yourself, and why other people so easily have put you in this position or role as well, because it almost seems to hold some sort of order in place or some sort of norms in place. But we have the World in reverse that came out here, and I'm just going to show you the card upright so you could see the illustration. But the World is a card of Saturn, and so there is a connection to both Capricorn and Aquarius. And when the World comes out in reverse, it's basically saying that, you know, there are so many like achievements or so many fulfillments that, you know, you don't get to experience if you only show this one specific aspect of yourself, or if you only focus on trying to keep everything light and like trying to repress these more shadowy or darker aspects within yourself. And it could possibly also be the reason why some of the things that you have tried to accomplish in this life, or even if you have accomplished them, you haven't felt true fulfillment from them. That could be one of the reasons why, because there is this disconnect from like your true feelings and again this more deeper side of you that is really wanting to be heard and that is wanting to be acknowledged and dealt with. But you know that it's something that you feel very, very uncomfortable handling. And I also feel like with the World in reverse, it's almost like these lessons could potentially keep repeating themselves, or you could be going in this cycle where you end up in similar situations or where certain patterns keep repeating. And I feel like the reason why, again, is because there is some sort of very crucial lesson that Spirit wants you to learn. But again, with the World coming out in reverse, it's like before you can finally sort of move on and grow and sort of level up to like new things or start a new chapter, it's that there needs to be this conclusion or this sort of culmination that happens, right? Like that the lesson has to be fully integrated. And also with the Empress here, I feel like the Empress is a card of Venus, and this is also associated with Taurus and Libra. The message here is that it is okay to be more in this like softer, more feminine side to, get in touch with that part of you. Because again, it's like you are not really getting the whole experience without acknowledging these more soft, more feminine, more emotional parts of you too. And the Empress feels like it is, again, it's asking you to give it a time of day, to just nurture yourself, to pay attention to your own needs as well, not just the needs of everyone else, because that is also where a lot of growth and development can come from. And I mean, you have all this potential here, right? All of these major arcana cards. And so it feels like there is so much that is wanting to like unravel and happen for you, but it requires you to like actually acknowledge the whole of you, right? Not to repress it, not to hide it away, not to be ashamed of it, but to actually realize, right? Incorporate it into your whole being, realize that it is a part of you, show it love, show it, appreciation and affection and kindness, because that is essentially what it is yearning for, is just some compassion and some understanding. And and I feel like as soon as you do, you can sort of close this like cyclical chapter up and step into a new chapter, like move on from this lingering energy. And so when we look at how you can actually do that, right, we have the Four of Cups, the Eight of Wands, and the Seven of Swords that came out in reverse as well. So starting with the Four of Cups, I love that we're getting the Cups suit, especially because this is specifically talking about emotions and our sort of inner landscape, right? The private parts of ourselves that we don't always readily share. But the Four of Cups is asking you to actually sit in your emotions, to actually pay attention to them, and to sort of sit with yourself and see what comes up, what you feel, right? Because clearly something is asking you to pay attention to it and to not brush it aside, not ignore it. And most likely it has something to do with your overall like satisfaction with life, or how fulfilled you feel and how much you feel like your life is worth something, or your bigger purpose, how you feel that you show up in life in a meaningful way. And even though it feels like you are very meaningful to all of the people around you and everyone seems to value you a lot, you don't necessarily seem to value yourself that much. Or you may be struggling to see that sort of value and worth that you bring to the table. So the Four of Cups is saying that there needs to be some just sitting in stillness, sitting with yourself and really going through, sifting through what it is that you are feeling and why you are feeling these things, and where you could possibly get some sort of nourishment, or what it is that you need to get out of this space where you feel like something is missing, where you feel like life is somewhat lackluster, right? Where all of these heavy, more repressed energies are coming from. So we also have the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Wands is a card of communication in its most sort of basic form. And so I do feel like what it is saying is to start expressing, what it is that you truly feel. And even if you don't feel like the greatest, right? You don't always have to feel happy. You don't always have to feel on top of things. You don't always have to feel enthusiastic, or like, the one who holds the atmosphere in like this high vibrational place. Like it is okay to be down in the dumps sometimes, right? It's okay. And I feel like the Ace of Wands is encouraging you to share it, to express it. But I also kind of get the message here that with the Four of Cups and the Eight of Wands, it's asking you to channel some of this emotional frustration that you could be feeling, where you feel like, you are not happy, where you feel like things are not the way that you want them to be, and nothing really makes you feel happy, nothing really makes you feel enthusiastic, or you are sort of battling with these more heavy energies. And The Eight of Wands is suggesting to actually, channel it into something, some sort of action, something that you can physically do to get that energy out of you and to get that energy moving, so that you wouldn't just sort of sit in it and ruminate in it and stagnate in it. And we also have the Seven of Swords that came out in reverse. And so the Seven of Swords is a card of, again, it can be trickery, mischief, deceit, those types of things, right? If this card would focus. Really doesn't want to show up on camera. That is so funny, considering that this is a card of hiding or secrecy or something like that, right? Oh, there we go. So you got the Seven of Swords in reverse. And so I feel like the first message, the most obvious message here, is that, there has to be an end to the self-deception that you're doing. And I mean like self-deception first and foremost, because when you are honest with yourself about how you truly feel without, brushing things under the carpet, or just putting on a brave face for everyone, it is a lot easier to, actually stay in your integrity in front of other people too. So it starts with yourself first and foremost. And I feel like, and also with the Seven of Swords, I feel like there is an element of needing to acknowledge how you have possibly been, working against yourself in conducting things the way that you have been conducting things. But I feel like most of all, being honest and transparent and, again, sort of realizing that you can't take on the whole responsibility or the whole burden for everyone else's feelings. Like it's not your job. It's not your responsibility to handle other people's reactions or other people's emotional situation, or, it's not your responsibility. And again, with the Seven of Swords in reverse, I feel like even thinking that it is within your power to solve other people's stuff for them, or that you can somehow, take the burden off of them, is kind of like an illusion or self-deception as well. And it's something that you really don't need to place on your shoulders. So yeah, that's kind of what's coming through pile number 2. But if you could resonate with this whole thing, then let's look at a supportive message for you as well to close the reading out with, so that, we can hopefully get some more light-hearted messages too. This is the Rainbow Brainskull Oracle, and let's see if we can get any supportive messages from Spirit regarding your reading. Sorry, I just keep hearing stop hiding in my head, and it keeps repeating. And yeah, it's most likely about the Seven of Swords. So stop hiding, pile number 2. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the bottom of the deck energy. But this says, it's your own responsibility to expand instead of just contracting. So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like encouraging to really show up again as your true self. Like, you don't have to shy away from everything that you are and everything that you have to offer. Even the sort of the ugly and those bits that you, again, feel like you want to hide away or that you want to bury in some way. I was laughing because at the bottom of the deck we have big mixed barrel of emotion. And I mean, that's what we have been talking about this whole time, right? About emotions. And I feel, again, this card is asking you to actually acknowledge and to allow yourself to experience all of these different emotions. It's okay. I know that it can be scary at times, and it can almost feel like you can drown in those more heavy and negative and, really frustrating energies. But they're all part of the human experience. As cliche as it is, it's true. Let's see if we can get one more supportive message for pile number 2. Okay. So we have connection is the only game. And we got that for pile number 1 too. And for pile number 1 too. Getting tongue-tied already. So I actually love this message because what this is saying is that authentic connection is the only thing that really matters in life, right? Like allowing yourself to be seen if in your wholeness, in your entirety by someone else, and seeing the acceptance of that, and also accepting someone else with all of their flaws and shortcomings as well. It's like one of the most powerful feelings we can ever experience as human beings. Feeling the sense of belonging and acceptance and love, even though at times we may feel like we don't deserve it. It is such a powerful thing, and it is ultimately what this whole life thing is about. And so, at least in my eyes. So yeah, I really love that message for you, pile number 2. You're not supposed to always be happy. Oh my God, I can't, seriously, I can't. These cards are way too on the nose. You're not supposed to always be happy. Let happy sleep. Exactly, right? Exactly. Let happy sleep. That's all I'm going to say. I feel like I don't need to say anything else here. So yeah, okay, that's it, pile number 2. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me. I truly appreciate it. And I hope that this reading was somewhat useful or insightful, or at the very least entertaining to watch. And I hope to see you back on this channel very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to your reading, pile number 3. So you chose the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot, but we are going to be looking at these tarot cards in just a second, because first we are going to look at some pre-prepared oracle cards, which are going to tell us all about what is actually haunting you. So what sort of past unresolved energies are still lingering in your life? So after hearing these messages, hopefully it will be easier for you to understand whether you're watching the right pile or not. So let's see. Okay, we have the Boar, Luck, Nest with Charity, Generosity and Gratitude, Play, and Book. Okay, pile number 3. I feel like I am talking to some very high achievers in this group, because I'm just going to start from the beginning. We have this Boar card, and basically this is all about like masculinity and aggression and just going after what you want and what you need. And so this feels very much like being in that sort of masculine energy is something that you are very much used to, and something that is the thing that like pushes you forward towards achieving and success and reaching all of these amazing milestones. And most likely, you know, even if you are not incredibly wealthy or anything like that, it just feels like you are someone who is constantly striving towards better things, constantly striving to grow, develop, better your life, you know, standard, or just all of these different areas of life in general. We also have this Luck card, and so it feels like I'm kind of getting two messages here. On the one hand, it feels like you are very aware of like how lucky you are, or how, again, that you have this sense of gratitude for everything that you have accomplished and everything that you have in your possessions. But there is also like this other aspect that almost makes me think that you feel like, I don't know, you feel like humble at the same time about everything that you are achieving and everything that you have got in your life. it's almost like, you know, you keep your head down and your nose to the grind, and you just do the hard work, you do what needs to be done with this Boar card. And it's not like you really give yourself enough credit, or like you really acknowledge how much you truly have achieved and how far you have come in your life, and all of the positive things that you can afford for yourself, but also most likely for your family or for the people around you. And so again, as I said, this luck feels like it has a twofold message. That on the one hand, you do realize how lucky you are, but also it feels like there is a part of this humility within you where you feel like it is not all you're doing. Like all of these things that you have achieved are also thanks to a lot of the luck that you have had in your life. And so possibly you don't even give yourself enough credit in places where it is due. And you're sort of playing it up, or is that the expression? You know, just playing it off as luck. Now, we have this nest card with charity, generosity, and gratitude. And so that's why I feel like, because this is, you know, it says nest specifically on this card as well. And so it is making me feel like you are responsible for other people. Like there are other people around you who depend on you somehow. Or even if, you know, if you don't have children, or even if you don't have a spouse or anything like that. This could also be that you are supporting your parents, you are supporting your siblings, you are supporting some relatives, or, you know, anything like that. It just feels like you are sharing what it is that you have, even if you are donating to charities, right? That could be something too, but I just feel like there is an aspect of you offering this, like this wealth or the success that you have, and feeling very willing to share it with the people around you, the people that you love, and the people that also, as I said, possibly depend on you. So this is all very well and good. But at the same time, we have this play and this book card. And I want to, you know, put these two cards together, because it almost feels like when it comes to actually taking things more easy and enjoying life, there could be an aspect of that you feel like you sort of need to learn, or you need to develop in. Because maybe you are so sort of focused on growth and development and just pushing yourself forward that you don't actually know how to relax, that you don't know how to allow yourself to actually enjoy everything that you have accomplished and everything that you have to the fullest extent. And so it feels like, yeah, I mean, with this play card, it just feels like there is potentially not enough time in your life as it is right now for these more fun things, for these joyful things, for these, you know, activities that take your mind off of work, off of responsibilities, off of everything that you are doing, and that allows you to just be and to just enjoy yourself, and again, be proud of everything that you have achieved. There is something about not feeling like you deserve it, or like you can allow yourself to relax and just unwind and again, take things more easily. It almost feels like with the book card here too, it feels like it is something that you have learned from like very early on, or something that has been instilled in you, possibly from like your own father or from your own parents, mother or father, or, you know, guardian if you didn't have parents growing up, something like that. It feels like, or even from school possibly, right? It just apply it to your life as it makes sense. But it feels like there is some part of ingrained, that some part of this feeling that you constantly need to prove yourself and you constantly need to keep bettering yourself, that is almost like ingrained in you from when you were little or when you were still growing up. And possibly also from the example that you saw from your own parents, or from the authority figures, or the people that you looked up to. It seems like you have all of this amazing success that you should be very like happy about, and again, very proud of. But it's like, there is like something inside you that is not allowing you to feel the true sense of happiness about it, or to truly, again, allow yourself the celebration every now and then, or to even acknowledge how much you have achieved. And so, yeah, that's kind of the thing that I feel that is like haunting you somewhat, you know, this needing to just keep on achieving and pushing forward. But anyway, if you could resonate with this pile number 3, then make sure to keep on watching, because we are going to look at some tarot cards next, which are going to tell us what these ghosts are trying to tell you and how you can resolve this lingering energy and finally move on. Okay, so starting with the first question of what these ghosts are trying to tell you. So the first card out is the Queen of Needles, which is a card of Libra, because this is the Queen of Swords. And so I feel like the ghosts are wanting you to actually pay attention to actually see things very, very clearly, because the Queen of Swords is all about discernment, is all about seeing things without any illusions, any distortions, without allowing their emotions to get in the way, to just see the facts purely as it is and to make decisions accordingly. And so I feel like, especially next to the Ace of Potions or the Ace of Cups, that the ghosts are trying to make you see very, very clearly how your emotional aspect is being neglected, or how it's not receiving enough attention, and how that may possibly have some sort of a negative effect on you in the long run, especially, right? Because even if you keep, like, you know, pushing forward in the short term, in the long term, you are going to get to a point where you start feeling burnout, right? And where you don't function as effectively anymore, and where you start losing enthusiasm, or where you start losing motivation. And it's very difficult to keep yourself going, or to actually feel good about, you know, pushing ahead and moving on to new ambitions and all of these things. The Ace of Cups is also a card of self-love and self-care, and sort of feeling this very wholesome energy within yourself, right? Offering yourself the nourishment, the nurturing that your soul and your body and your mind need. Really looking after yourself. And I feel like with the Queen of Swords, especially, you know, how the Queen of Swords has her back on this Ace of Cups, I feel like this whole energy, right, that is lingering, is trying to turn your focus on how you are, you know, not prioritizing your own emotional well-being, your own general well-being, how you may be somewhat detached from what it is that you are truly needing, or like what your emotional landscape may be needing. And with Justice, this is all about bringing it back into equilibrium, to restoring balance, right? So again, there is an element of truth here, because this is again a card of Libra. And so obviously this element of relationships and balancing or reaching some sort of harmonious equilibrium is very important here. And I feel like not just for yourself, but also for the connections in your life with other people, right? So that you could also show up for them in an emotional capacity, not just, you know, not just filling the role of the caregiver or the head of the household, or the provider, or these types of things, but also, you know, having the capacity to connect to the people that you are responsible for, the people that are around you, and enjoying this happiness with them, enjoying this heartfelt connection or fulfillment, right? Because honestly, with all of this, like this Queen of Swords energy and this Justice energy, it feels so like corporate, or so like formal somehow. And I feel like with this beautiful loving energy of the Ace of Cups being sort of, you know, smushed in the middle here, there is this need to like not neglect that part of your life, right? And to realize that, again, it acts as further fuel in, furthering your accomplishments, in making you strive even further. And one last message I feel like saying is that, your self-worth, especially with the Ace of Cups here, your self-worth does not stem from all of these things that you are accomplishing. To realize that these are two distinct things, right? That you don't have to prove anything to anyone, that your worth is inherent, that it is always there within you. So yeah, that's something that I also wanted to say. But moving on, we also have how you can actually resolve this lingering energy and move on. And the first card out is the Five of Potions in reverse, or the Five of Cups. I'm going to show you the card upright so you could see the illustration. But the Five of Cups in reverse is asking you to acknowledge some sort of disappointment or grief or emotional lack that you could be feeling that is potentially, the root cause of all of this energy that is lingering, and again, that is pushing you forward but not allowing you to rest, right? So I don't know what it is exactly, but it feels like there needs to be some peace made with some sort of regrets or some sort of, mistakes that you possibly have made in the past that made you feel that you had to compensate for, messing something up or doing something that you shouldn't have done, or, it almost feels like there is some sort of emotional baggage that is there, that is tied to all of this energy, and that is demanding to be looked at and to be, dealt with. There is also possibly some very heavy hitting energies regarding loss. And so maybe you experienced some sort of loss when you were growing up or as a child. And so you feel like you have to keep pushing forward, or you can't allow yourself to slow down, because otherwise you may risk, failing, or you may risk losing out on some opportunities, or there seems to be something like that at the background with this Five of Cups in reverse that Spirit is wanting you to acknowledge. And I mean, we have this Page of Needles, or the Page of Swords, which is coming out. And so that is really the main energy here of just really looking at things very concretely and sort of square in the face. Because this is all about, research and really finding out the truth, finding out what is actually going on, what is happening. And I feel like that is sort of what needs to happen. So this aspect of being truthful, especially with yourself, seems to be a very, very important message here, but also just to become more aware, right? We have two of these swords elements coming through here. And so clarity and illumination, those types of things seem to be very important here as well, in helping you to sort of shake this past energy off, or this past compulsion that is still with you. But also because we have this Nine of Candles, or the Nine of Wands that came out here, I feel like this is about acknowledging also when you do feel like you are tired, when you do feel like you are beaten down, and to actually, again, allow yourself to express it, allow yourself to acknowledge it. And again, to speak up about it, to share it with other people, because you don't have to carry everything by yourself. And again, if you show weakness, if you reveal, that you are tired, or that you are worn down, or that things are getting to you, that stress is getting to you, it's not making you a weak person. It doesn't mean that you are not handling things the way that you should, or that you are not living up to your potential, or again, the standard that you feel like you need to have, again, as a person, as an employee, as a spouse, as a mother or father, anything like that. It doesn't take away from that. it's normal. And I feel like, again, that there could potentially be some very heavy pain associated with it, or some sort of sore spot with, you know, expressing pain or expressing weakness. But yeah, with the Page of Swords, it feels like Spirit is really calling you to, first of all, pay attention to it, to acknowledge it when you do need a break or when you do need something to change. And second of all, to actually be brave enough to talk about it, to express it, right? And it doesn't mean that you are failing, and it doesn't mean that things are not going to, you know, work out anymore. Even if you slow down or something like that, it's normal. I don't know why I feel like repeating that, but yeah, that's kind of what I feel here, pile number 3. I want to close the reading out with some supportive messages from Spirit. This is the Rainbow Brainskull Oracle, and I want to see if we can get some supportive messages for you regarding this reading. Oh, okay, we got quite a few. I'm going to take all of them because, you know, they came out, so why not? So we have, the thinking mind acts like it's everything, but it's not. Oh my God. This feels so spot on, and this feels like the perfect card for you, because yeah, it does seem like, you know, like you are trying to be on top of everything, right? Like you're trying to plan ahead for everything and always trying to be in control of everything. But truthfully, there are so many other parts of your body that do need care and attention as well, and that do speak to you very loudly, that, you know, that you should really pay attention to. It's not just about the mind. Okay, we have jumping is scary, staying frozen is scarier. So yeah, you know, this whole thing about trying something new and possibly changing your lifestyle, shaking this past ghost of like feeling like you need to live up to this impossible standard, or like you constantly need to keep striving to be valuable or something like that. Changing that could be scary, but like staying where you are and actually burning yourself out is actually so much scarier. It truly, truly is. Or even just, you know, not being able to enjoy life and everything that you have worked so hard for. We also have, I'll be at the other end of the universe acting strange. So basically this card is about encouraging you to, again, show up as your true self and to not be afraid of, you know, just doing you, right? Like, you don't really have to prove yourself to anyone. And we also have summon the otherworldly. So yeah, I mean, we all have this one specific perspective that we live our lives according to, but there are so many other ways to exist and to live out our path and you know, do things. And so I feel like that's what this card is asking you to sort of think about. And I also feel like this is touching upon this like fun aspect too, you know, to just see what happens if you try something new. And at the bottom of the deck we have, who cares if we become nothing? We were all once nothing. See, this is probably one of my favorite cards in the deck. I mean, I have many favorite cards in this deck, but this is definitely one of them, because it takes off the pressure of feeling like you have to, again, like you have to become something, like you have to achieve something specific in order to be valuable, right? And so it's just saying, you know, we were all once nothing. So even if we don't end up becoming something that we feel like we need to, it's okay. Who cares, right? I mean, it's obviously like a tongue-in-cheek type of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I just love that message. So Anyway, that's it, pile number 3. I'm going to leave it here. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me. I truly appreciate it. And I hope that this reading was useful or insightful to you in some way, or at the very least entertaining. And as always, I hope to see you back on this channel very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to your reading, pile number 4. So you chose the Bohemian Gothic Tarot, but we are going to be looking at that in just a bit, because first we are going to look at some pre-prepared oracle cards, which are going to tell us all about how you are being haunted by the past. So what sort of unresolved energies are still lingering in your life and influencing you some way? And so after you have heard these messages, it is most likely going to be a lot easier for you to understand whether you're watching the right pile or not. So let's see. Okay, we have perspective, growth, the stand with courage, determination, and fearlessness, grief, and toad. I feel like you have experienced something very, very heavy hitting, like some form of great loss that is still very much affecting you right now, and the way that you go about living your life and sort of doing day-to-day things. And I mean, this is like the strongest, the loudest card here. We have grief. And so, you know, clearly something that you have lost, whether it is a relationship, whether this is a family member, whether this is a friend or a partner, or, you know, a sibling, whether this is a job, whether this is a path that you thought you were supposed to follow, whether this is even a dream, you know, anything like that. It feels like something happened that you obviously grieved after having lost it, but that loss in and of itself seems to still very much be present in your life right now, regardless of how many weeks or months or years possibly has passed since that event actually occurred. And we also have this toad card. And for some reason, you know, I'm getting the message of like cleaning or healing or just purifying and purging everything out. And that seems to be something that you're potentially struggling with. Even though I feel like you are trying so very hard to have enough courage, to have enough determination, to actually, you know, face life as you are experiencing this new reality now, as your life as you know it has changed. But you are very much trying to, you know, work against these forces that are sort of trying to tear you down, or these heavy emotions that are trying to, or that are pulling you into these depths, right, where it's very difficult to function from. But it seems to be something that you are facing. And so, you know, we also have this growth card. And so clearly you are so focused on trying to, you know, move forward from the situation, to learn new skills or learn new ways of managing and coping with life as you know it now. And so again, you know, both of these cards are making me think that you are very much trying to, you know, face the future and be very future oriented. But that, you know, it's kind of difficult, because with the perspective card, it's clear that, again, whatever you have lost, you know, it's still sort of holding on to you. And so the perspective is somewhat foggy, potentially. Like there is something that you are still operating from the past. And then you are also trying to, you know, come to terms with a new way of viewing the world and of viewing yourself in the world. And again, the sort of the space that is now left empty and how to fill that space, or what you should be doing moving forward. So yeah, it's like this very complex and heavy energy, pile number 4. At the same time, this feels very specific too, you know, that this is very concretely talking about this loss that has occurred, and the sort of the aftermath that you are experiencing as a result of this, but that the loss in and of itself seems to be something that is still very much present, and that you are having such a hard time letting go of, even though you are trying. And I also feel like with this perspective card, I kind of feel like your perspective may have been somewhat like tainted, or somewhat, you know, colored by this whole experience, that maybe you have become a bit more pessimistic, or a bit more cynical, or just a bit more, you know, closed off, and I don't want to say hostile, but, you know, like, yeah, like a bit more aggressive in the way that you view the world, and that you may not have as much hope as you used to have before, or you may not have as much enthusiasm or optimism or joy about life and the world that you did before. And so I feel like even though you are stronger as a result of going through this very, very complicated and difficult experience, it has also left you somewhat, as I said, like lackluster in joy, or weighed down by what has happened. A part of you may even feel like you are trying to almost like wash this whole thing clean, or wash yourself clean from what has happened, and almost like pretend like it hasn't happened at all. But again, I feel like it's something that you're almost trying to force into being, and it may not necessarily be something that you are truly feeling. And that's why it's almost like there is this contrasting energy here, where you are wanting to move on, but at the same time you are so incredibly held on to the past as well. So yeah, pile number 4, if you could resonate with this energy, then make sure to keep on watching, because we're going to look at what are these ghosts trying to tell you that are lingering around you, and how you can resolve this lingering energy and move on. Okay, so the first card that came out is the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, and I'm going to show you the cards upright so you could see the illustrations, but I'm going to talk about them in their reversed meaning. So with the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, the lingering energies, these ghosts, are trying to tell you that it is to be expected that your sense of security and your sense of stability have been compromised, right? That you are in a place where you feel possibly even your sense of identity, or what you associated yourself and your self-worth with, or even, you know, your foundational security, all of those things that could have had a connection to whatever this thing was for you that you lost, or that ended up leaving your life. It is to be expected that these things are, you know, being shaken up for you, or that you don't really know how to rely on yourself, or what to rely on. And there is possibly also a very heavy feeling of loneliness with the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. Almost like you are doubting whether you have what it takes to keep going, and to, you know, to move forward, and to be able to handle things, to be able to take care of things. And that's all to be expected. As I said, it's something that is normal when you go through a period of grief, and when you go through a period of loss. And so, you know, if you feel lost, or if you feel like you are untethered, like you don't really have a secure leg to stand on, these ghosts are basically wanting you to accept that state, not to try to like short circuit it somehow, or not to try to avoid it. Because with Judgment, which also came out in reverse, and which is a card of Pluto tied to Scorpio. And I'm just pointing out the signs in case you resonate with them. With Judgment and this Plutonian energy, there is clearly an energy of, you know, the old way having died, and that it is something that is supposed to happen. And it's something that really, you know, needs to be like made peace with. And I know that it's so much easier said than done. But with Judgment, it's almost saying that it's not the end of the road for you. It's the end of a chapter. And your story will continue from here. And even though it is difficult to move forward from this, there is something that is meant to sort of come forward within you through this whole transformative period, right? This whole process is going to transform you. And there is going to be a rebirth. But with Judgment in reverse, it is somewhat, again, you know, pointing out or being pointed out that you are resisting this new chapter, this new change, this new way of being. And because of it, you know, things are possibly a lot harder than they need to be. And with the Seven of Swords that also came out in reverse, there is an element of, you know, possibly trying to, again, run away from it or trying to, you know, hide from what has happened. So there is this element of self-sabotage with the Seven of Swords. And when it comes out in reverse, basically what the ghosts are saying is that it's not going to work, and it isn't working. And I feel like you realize that. I feel like you know that it isn't working, and that's why you are struggling. That's why it is so difficult for you to like shake this past energy off, or to actually sort of heal it or purify it somehow, to move forward from this. But again, this Judgment card is so incredibly potent and weighty in this whole reading, and it is suggesting that you are being reborn, that a certain rebirth process is trying to take place. But it does require you, as I said, to, you know, be able to actually sit with these energies of grief and these more heavy, these difficult feelings. Because right now, just trying to, you know, move forward and just trying to like force through these energies, you may be creating a false sense of security for yourself with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. You know, again, with both the 9 and the 7, the 9 of Pentacles and the 7 of Swords, you could be tricking yourself into thinking that you are creating as I said, security for yourself in trying to move forward and create a new life for yourself and all of these things. But with Judgment, there really is a very heavy emphasis on feeling the feelings and allowing this change to like finally happen, or to transform it in its entirety, and to just allow whatever sort of feelings come up for you to come up, right? And so when we look at how you can resolve this lingering energy and move on, the first card out is the Four of Swords. And so again, this is all about the energy of making peace with something, or trying to find respite, or trying to find like some form of rest or mental peace. And again, I do realize it's a lot easier said than done, but especially with the King of Cups coming out right next to it, which is, by the way, another card of Scorpio. So we have some heavy Scorpio energy here. This is saying that, you know, if you can find someone that you trust, that you feel like you could really rely on or depend on, or that could just be like a shoulder to cry on, or someone to, you know, some sort of confidant for you, then that person may be someone who could really help you to sort of process this whole thing and to find some form of peace. Also, I'm you know, I do realize that it's not the answer for everyone, and it is a very sort of delicate subject, and obviously you will know whether that is something that you want to do or not. But with both of these cards, there is also a suggestion or recommendation of, you know, talking to like a therapist or talking to a counselor, someone who is more so professionally trained to deal with these more heavy themes and emotions, and who can really sort of allow you the space to go through what you need to go through. Because with the Four of Swords, there is clearly the need for some peace, and especially some peace of mind, to be able to get whatever is weighing heavy on you to get out of your system, especially with the Five of Swords. So as I said, with, you know, it doesn't have to be a therapist or a professional, but even if you just have someone around you that you can trust and that you know cares about you. The Five of Swords is suggesting that if you have a safe space where you can do that, it would be very, very helpful to actually get all of that frustration and tension out of you. Because the Five of Swords is a card of conflict. It's a card of, you know, expressing yourself in a very forceful way. And normally this would be somewhat of a, you know, like a tricky thing, or maybe even a negative thing in some way. But in this case, because this is something that Spirit is recommending that you do, you know, it is clearly very important for you to actually be able to get some of that pent up energy out of you, to get that frustration, to get that sadness, to get that anger, you know, all of these different emotions that are within you. It's important to get those out. And so I feel like that is something that you could possibly do with someone that you trust or that you love, you know, just having this sort of like, not like a contract, or just, you know, making this agreement between you two that they can be someone who are willing to be there for you, who are willing to allow you to like express yourself without any filters, without, you know, holding back, and just saying whatever you need to say, however that comes out, right? Because I feel like if you don't find a way to release some of that pressure, that pent up energy, it could seep into other areas of life too, and to other relationships, and start like negatively affecting those as well. If that hasn't happened already, most likely it has, and you will know if that's the case. Also, you know, if you don't have anyone that you can confide in, or if you don't have the means, or if you don't want to share yourself or share your life and all of these more intimate details with a stranger, with a therapist, then even just doing something like journaling, I feel like that could be something that is very, you know, helpful too, or expressing yourself in some sort of creative or artistic way with the King of Cups, right? Just getting that emotion out somehow in like a healthy way, in a constructive way, not like a destructive way, you know? So yeah, that's what's coming through pile number 4. This was such a delicate situation and a very difficult energy to navigate. And, you know, I hope that I did it justice, and I hope that, you know, it wasn't too difficult to hear. But yeah, that's what came out. I want to close the reading out with some oracle cards as well. We have the Rainbow Brainskull Oracle, which hopefully will give us some supportive messages from Spirit regarding your reading. Okay. So we have, water the things you care about. It ain't always going to be dirt. Yeah, so I feel like, you know, this card is essentially, again, asking you to be steadfast, be dedicated, right? To sort of just keep doing the thing one day at a time. And if we're talking about, you know, healing, or just trying to come to terms and trying to accept this new way of being, or trying to create a new norm or normal for yourself and for your life, then all you can really do is just take this one day at a time and keep doing the little things that help you to move forward, that help you to heal, because it ain't always going to be dirt. One day it is going to lead to something, and one day you are going to see the effects of all of this hard work. Okay, and of course you got this one. Death is just one character I play. My real name is Change. Yeah, so again, this is just more of a light-hearted message to remind you that nothing is ever truly an ending, right? Every ending will always lead to a new beginning. There will always be fresh energy. There will always be new opportunities, new connections, new people, new adventures. Things will get more positive again. And it's just change, right? It's not taking away from the difficulty of the whole experience and the painfulness of the whole experience. But it is just reminding you that, you know, it's not an ending, right? As I said with Judgment in reverse, it's just the ending of this chapter. It doesn't mean that it's the ending of the whole story. At the bottom of the deck we have throw stuff at wall, see what sticks. If nothing sticks, hang out in the pile. So yeah, I feel like this is a very sweet reminder, and I love that we are ending this whole reading with this underlying energy, because it's encouraging you to just try out, to see what works for you, to see how you can start feeling better about this whole situation and how you can start the healing process for yourself in a way that works for you. And it might take some experimenting, right? It might take some trial and error. You might not figure it out in the first go, but you know, even if it doesn't lead anywhere, and even if it doesn't work, you know, just hang out, just, you know, take it easy and allow yourself to take off the pressure of needing to, you know, organize everything and needing to systemize everything and make everything make sense again. Even though that's something that we feel compelled to do whenever something does change for us, especially if we haven't initiated that change, right? If that change has happened to us, we feel like we want to reestablish control. And so we start, you know, we start making things happen. We start rushing. We start impulsively going after things, or just trying, you know, scrambling basically. But maybe that's not the best approach. Maybe it is. You know, I don't know. You will know what works for you. And I feel like that's what this card is urging you to do, right? To take the pressure off of yourself that you need to figure it out all at once and right now. And again, to, you know, be easy on yourself and to allow all of these different emotions to come up and to deal with them as they come up, to acknowledge them and to make peace with them and to allow them some sort of safe expression, and realizing that, you know, a new day is coming. Again, as cliche as that may sound, but it is coming. So hold on. But wow, my dear pile number 4, if this was your reading, I am sending you so much love and warmth and hugs. And I truly, truly feel for you. But I hope that this reading was somewhat useful or insightful to you. And I appreciate so, so much that you chose to spend your time with me. And as always, I hope to see you back on this channel very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.